Madness rules. Easy peasy.
Right. Your teammate won't be completing their operation so much as they'll be needing one.
Keep an eye on them. Make sure they're okay.
About an app on a smart device, or whether you're talking about a broadcaster.
Oh, sorry!
In the environment for the longest amount of time possible. And because that means money in the pocket. And in order to do that, a couple of things happened. One was the use of manipulative techniques around behavioral economics, things that would just keep you scrolling, or keep you listening, or keep you looking for more information. The second is that that kind of environment favors sensationalism. And so you got more sensational headlines and more sensational stories, and it didn't matter whether they were true or not. It just kept people in, and it kept them in the loop. So we ended up in a situation where nobody trusted anything, and nobody believed in anything at all. And that is the perfect environment for an authoritarian voice to come in and say, no, wait. Authoritarian politicians everywhere. Anything that threatened them or they disagreed with, they would call it disinformation. That's disinformation.
Connie's informants have found the optimal target for a big, juicy malware payload. Find the vehicle and hack it.
And the trouble is, if you were telling the truth, it's very hard to get your message to cut through all of the noise of all of the disinformation that's there. So like, you know, you remember Out on the Edges, there was this story about when they would take a house by force, they would take any infants and they would crucify them. And that's a great, fantastic, viral story. And how do you counter that story? With the truth. The only way you can counter it is by saying, no, they didn't. And of course, no one wants to spread that story. No one wants to hear that story. They want to hear the sensationalism. They want to hear how people were victims of violence when in fact they weren't. Or they were victims of insurgent forces when in fact they weren't.
The news isn't neutral, it's a battleship. Here's media research on academic outreach.
The media has, of course,
perhaps the key way in which governments have controlled and influenced their populations. So totalitarian countries have typically used huge mainstream media outlets to sell one kind of news, one kind of biased news to its population. Of course, the media has always played a key role in the method of state control. I think
Stop! Please stop!
The media, but now with the GBB, you're really only seeing one brand of news and therefore only getting one truth. So people end up with a very biased and controlled idea of the reality and the world that we're actually living in. There was, of course, many concerns and many problems, but in a way there were some positive things that, like, not all information was coming from one place, and so you'd have kind of far-right media outlets developing and then left-wing media outlets developing to combat those and kind of challenge the mainstream newspapers, TV stations, radios, and make sure people were questioning the validity and truth of the information they were receiving. So whilst the digital afforded more fake information, it also makes us suspicious and sceptical of information and makes us question the information we're getting. And I think in pre-crisis Britain, it might not have seemed great at the time, but there was something positive about that there was a lot of distrust in the media and in the different kinds of truths that were being told. Whereas now, I think you're seeing a return to a more traditional and older pre-digital sense sense, actually, of people just trusting what they're told, and that's why we have to be here with radio stations like this to challenge those conceptions. Most citizens feel pretty hopeless, I think, and unable to fight back against these kind of huge mainstream corporations that simply entrench and support the ideals and ideologies of the state. It can seem very hopeless indeed, but I think, you know, the fact that you're out there listening, we're in here talking, shows that there is still a space to combat these false truths and disinformation that's being sold to us, and that it's never possible really to completely shut down, despite all the technologies that they have at their disposal and all the financial and corporate power and all the physical power. That it's never quite possible to shut down people's desire.
I hope you're not doing anything important. You've been activated.
Bags, this is the face of someone in high demand. The streets is watching, yeah?
For their own ideologies and values, and you know, we're out here starting that task, so don't give up hope.
You've been listening to Buccaneer with me, Tash. We'll be back soon with more of what you'll never hear on the GBB. Keep listening, keep sharing, and keep resisting.
The Bug, nibbling away on the rotting carcass of a once free Britain.
Yum, yum.
Hello, Bugs. This is The Bug. I'm Andy. This is Alice, and today we're going to be pretending that everything is fine. Yeah, and back. Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? That was as long as I could manage. A second and a half. A reality time now, however. And, well, finally, today, we're going to road test the latest update to the CSAY app, the government app that has brought the great British tradition of snitching on people you don't like back to the very heart of public life, the school playground. I'm going to tell a new threat that's got a whole new lease of life these days, thanks to CSAY. And isn't Britain all the more fun because of it? No more grumbling about your neighbours playing their music too loud. Just simply report them to the state and have them, shall we say, involuntarily rehoused at Hotel Cass, the chain of hotels that was formerly known as the prison service. What was the slogan? Is it, if you see something, say something? Or if you think you might at some point see something, say something? Or if you haven't seen anything but don't like someone, say something anyway. So, well, let's have a look at this new app. Alice, I'm sure you've got it on your phone. I mean, at first glance, well, the interface is lovely. It's so neatly designed, a simple button to snitch on someone. That's so much better than non-government informer apps like Stool-Easy, Can Canary or Narc Shark. I mean, look, I just need to geocache where the person I'm ratting on currently is. Let's call her, for the sake of argument, Alice.
Sorry, Andy, I was busy reporting you to the authorities for rolling your eyes when passing a Nigel Cass propaganda poster.
Could you not let me report you first, please? Let's have some decorum about this. I'll just take a quick little photo so they can get a drone to pick you out of a crowd at your next riot or trip to the shops or walk in the woods. And you can input your accusations with the app. But let's go old school. Let's call the phone line. Let's call the phone line. Here's the number, listeners, in case you want to dob someone in, as long as it's not me. 0044 203 807 3832. And don't forget to get the permission of the person who pays your bills before you call that number.
Hey, I'd like to report my co-host Andrew, who runs an underground satirical anti-government comedy show, for running and co-hosting an underground satirical anti-government comedy show. Also, he does terrible puns.
Well, excuse me, I have a suspect for you. That is my co-host, Alice. I have some evidence for you. She tutted audibly at the sight of an Albion vehicle in the street yesterday. She says she prefers pigeons to Bloom drones. I mean, come on, seriously, when did a drone ever crap on your face?